Certainly, if you follow the NFL draft and you care about the NFL draft, you may not have a few months ago known about him, but you most certainly know about LSU wide receiver DJ Chark by now. He lit up the Senior Bowl. He tore it up at the Combine. One of those guys that absolutely dominates and blows it out of the water in the NFL draft season. And he's made himself a ton of money along the way. Now, that said, is this an example of just a workout warrior, a guy whose athleticism naturally translates to really shining in these workout sessions at the Senior Bowl, at the Combine? Or is this a guy that wasn't utilized to his full potential at LSU and perhaps his best football is ahead of him? That's what a lot of teams, a lot of scouts, a lot of general managers are going to be trying to determine here in the last few weeks leading up to the 2018 NFL Draft, and determining where they might want to take a risk on this kid. Because when you look at him, there's no question that what you saw at the Combine in terms of the speed, the quickness, that ability to be a vertical threat shows up time after time after time after time on film. He is an explosive, big play, down the field weapon, the best vertical threat in this draft class, at least among the big name receivers for sure. I mean, he was a guy, that's primarily how he made his living at LSU. He didn't catch a lot of other stuff. He's averaging 20-something yards a damn catch because he's going deep, he's going over the top consistently. So he is the type of guy that could be a threat to score any single time you want to throw it down the field to him. He has that game-breaking ability. He can make those big plays. And every NFL team wants to have the ability to hit the big play down the field to score that quick touchdown. Chark is going to provide that to a team. He can also positively impact the game as a punt returner. That's why I was glad LSU utilized him as a punt returner in 2017. So he had a couple of touchdowns, and he showed some of that big play ability there. So when you're talking about taking a guy like him, who will have some flaws in his game and need time to develop, but you want to justify that high pick you spend on him, if nothing else, if he becomes like a Josh Cribbs level of return guy, then you feel like if you spent a mid-second round pick on him, you got a big return on your investment. And frankly, anything else as a wide receiver is just a gravy. Smooth, no lumps. But he's known as a team leader. He was a team captain in 2017, so it's not just a thing of he's quick, he's big, he's fast. There's more to it. He can make quick, sudden moves to get some space as a route runner. He doesn't run a ton of routes. Still kind of raw in terms of his overall route running. But because of that athleticism, that quickness, that speed, he is able to get subtle separation just off of the quickest, sharpest of cuts. And one thing he did show, and he's going to have to show at LSU because I don't know what type of offense they've been wanting to run down there the past couple of years, but most certainly not a big-time college offense, let alone an NFL-style offense. He showed a great feel for working back to the ball. Because a lot of times the ball thrown his way was not ideal. A lot of times the ball thrown his way was behind him, was over the wrong shoulder. He had to sit there and come back and make plays on it, and he did. He showed a great feel and instinct for being able to recognize where the ball was and being able to go get it. So you're talking about a guy that you're primarily going to have him make his living in the NFL, being able to stretch the top off of the defense. He's also shown the ability to get down there and catch the less than ideal ball, to be able to work back to the ball. That said, it's one of these things, just because a guy dominates the Senior Bowl, just because he dominates at the Combine, that doesn't automatically mean that he's going to be a dominant NFL player. And we've seen this. We see workout warriors every single year. And one of the real challenges is, does the workout measure up to the film? Does it match the film? Does the film match what you see? Is one an illusion? Is the other one the reality? And which one is it? You hope that what you see on film is then validated by the workouts. And to a degree, I think it was with Chark running, what did he run, like a 4.3, 4.40? You see that speed on film. So that translated. The quickness, the burst, translated. But there are still plenty of holes in his game. He's a very rudimentary route runner in a very, very bare-bones route tree, primarily streaks or fly patterns, whatever the hell you want to call them in today's NFL. Comebacks, outs, that's about it. So the trick with him is he's going to have to expand his route tree. He's going to have to learn how to set up being able to go for an out and up or an in and up or a comeback and go. He's going to have to learn how to set those up, because I don't know if he's ever going to be a truly great route runner, nor do I necessarily know that he has to be a truly phenomenal route runner with an expansive route tree that can do all these great and wonderful things. When he got that type of speed, that is a tremendous inherent advantage, because it's really hard for defensive backs, even quick and fast defensive backs, to be able to stay with him and react to any double move or sudden move that he makes. But he is going to have to work on that route tree. He's going to have to get a more expansive route tree, because otherwise teams are going to be able to eventually figure it out. He's either running this route, or this route. I don't care how fast you are. Eventually, they're going to figure out ways to stop it. So he's going to have to expand that. He's going to have to get better at running routes. And that may come with time, but it also may not. He's not really like super agile in the open field. I wouldn't say he's terrible in terms of making miss, because you watch him on tape, and he has times where he can juke somebody. He can stutter step and make somebody miss. But it's really kind of like a slow, deliberate setup. It's a slow, deliberate type of move. So I don't know how well that is necessarily going to translate. At the college level, it can work, because even if his movement is kind of slow, he's so quick and he's fast that he can get up to speed really quickly, and the college defender cannot stay with him. Problem is, he's going to be going up against guys in the secondary who also run in the 4.3s and the 4.4s. He won't be able to burn them the same with a kind of mediocre move. I'd like to see him with that quickness and speed combination be a little more elusive in the open field, because it could potentially open up what you could do with him within your offense. He's just like so many of the other guys in this draft. He's going to have to learn how to play bigger and play to his size. I know he's only about 200 pounds, but he is 6'3". He's going to have to learn how to beat physical press, bump and run coverage. He didn't necessarily show the best ability to do that. Now, it might not be him having to sit there and get super physical in order to do that, but he's going to have to figure out his own way to be able to get off of press coverage. Otherwise, it'll be really easy to take him out of the play. The biggest concern I have, though, is that he is not a natural catcher of the football. He body catches just about every damn thing under the sun. You want to see wide receivers be able to attack the ball with their hands, catch the ball away from their body. When you see guys that have to catch it like this, or they catch it like this, or they catch it like this, that means to me either A, they don't see the ball well, or B, they lack the confidence and focus in their hands and therefore don't trust them, so they have to make sure that they're able to secure it like this. And it's just not a recipe for great success in the NFL, because not every throw is going to be perfect. Not every throw is going to make it into your breadbasket. You're going to have to be able to adjust, and that's the frustrating thing about him. With his size, with his speed, is his overall athleticism. He should be able to be a guy that can jump out of the stadium, figuratively speaking, and be able to go get the ball at its highest point, be able to adjust all those back shoulder throws and reach with outstretched hands, and he just doesn't do that. He's trying to sit there and jump for the ball and yet catch it like this, like it's the 1930s or something. And it just doesn't work that way in the modern NFL. And if he can't hit that jugs machine consistently, and he can't learn to trust his hands, he's not going to be long for the NFL. It will be NFL not for long with all that body catching. If you watch him, pick a game, doesn't matter. Body catch after body catch after body catch after body catch. He caught a lot of them, yes, but body catch after body catch after body catch. Really a big concern. I really don't like to see that out of my skill players, specifically a wide receiver. You want them to be able to make those catches with their hands, and Chark just cannot. But looking at this kid, the Charknado as he's called, he absolutely lit up the draft season, as I alluded to earlier. The Senior Bowl, the Combine, his stock is nuclear right now. It's on fire. This is a guy that was maybe a mid to late day 3 prospect a couple of months ago, really, if we're being honest, to where maybe if he gets discovered a little bit more and teams start to dig deeper, maybe he goes like round 4. Now you'd be stunned if he doesn't go early to mid round 2, and there's a good chance he ends up being potentially the 3rd or 4th wide receiver taken, and he may sneak his way up into round 1. Because teams are going to be tantalized by the possibilities of vertical threat, and also as a guy in the return game. He comes from a program as well that has produced a lot of NFL wide receivers in recent years. A lot of them. Not all of them are stars, but plenty of guys that have been able to play. So you could say something about these LSU wide receivers in some respects do translate to the NFL. It's not like for years and years with all the USC wide receivers where they mostly did not translate. Michigan wide receivers for years didn't necessarily translate. The LSU wide receivers do. And I know you're supposed to evaluate each prospect individually, and that still is ultimately the way to go. But when you're talking about investing an early day 2 and perhaps a late day 1 pick in a guy, you'd like to know at that position that there is a pedigree of those guys being able to succeed at the NFL, and there is that pedigree for coming from LSU at the receiver position. And if he gets stronger and works on his hands, he could be scary. You can't coach that type of quickness and speed. And at 6'3", if he can get up to like 210, 215 pounds, gradually, do what the real superstars do when they get in the league. They hit the weight room. They get into that NFL nutrition program. They get a couple of babies. Now you're at 215 easy. You got that grown man weight. And you talk about getting stronger. And if you can start catching the ball with his hands, now you take that quickness, that speed. You talk about being able to go up and high point the ball, expanding that catch radius significantly. This guy could be scary. He has the potential, because of some of those things, that if he can work on those other things, he could be the best wide receiver in this class. He could be the guy we're talking about the most. But if he doesn't, he could be one of those notable examples in 5 years that we're talking about him just being a workout warrior and being yet another cautionary tale of just because a guy lights up the Senior Bowl, just because a guy lights up the Combine and the damn stopwatches in the 40, doesn't automatically mean that it translates. When I look at Chark, who does he remind me of? To me, he's like a bigger Will Fuller. That's who he kind of reminds me of. A true vertical threat. Like I said, he's a few inches bigger than Will Fuller, but there are similarities to their game. Will Fuller had his issues not so much with body catches as much as it was just flat-out drops. His catch rate wasn't as great, especially when you're talking about investing a first-round pick in a guy. But here was a guy that could make some plays down the field. And I see Chark as being that type of guy that could come in and make some plays down the field. Because even if you're not great in terms of route running and getting separation, that speed tends to translate. And you can usually get open once or twice a game just by running straight down the damn field and by somebody. There's going to be a breakdown in coverage. There's going to be something. So there's a chance that this kid could come in, even as raw as he is, and when you factor in the return ability, here's a guy that could potentially contribute right away. My overall grade for him, I've put a mid to high second round grade on him because I like the upside. I like the potential. I feel like this is a kid that has potentially his best football ahead of him. I personally don't think I would invest a first-round pick in him. It still feels like it's a little rich. But once I got into that second round, the first 10 to 15 picks of round 2, I'd feel a little more comfortable taking him there because if he works out, I'm going to look like a genius. And if he doesn't, at least he wasn't a first-round pick.